You're in the rant wormhole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by becoming one of those. This one is for Valkion, who says, rant about Aesop Rock, especially stuff off his more recent albums like Malibu Ken or The Impossible Kid. The only Aesop Rock album I've really listened to more than a couple times is The Impossible Kid, and I have difficulty with Aesop Rock because I don't like his beat choices. I don't like the very, simplistic boom bap sound, it's just kind of thudding bass and fucking snare, and there's not a whole lot of song crafting. It's more of just a beat for him to spit his bars over, and his bars, are incredibly dense and have all these this is crazy verbiage, and when you start to unpack the parts that you even can, you will always be like, oh my god, what he was saying there was so much deeper than I first realized. And that's all good. As a rapper, you want somebody who has that juicy steak of lyrics that you can sink your teeth into and really chew on and mull over. But for me as a music fan, I prefer songs that are more song-esque. I'm generally not as much of a huge fan of old school rap and the style of just, spitting bars over a beat, because I favor something that's more vibey or more musical, something that's more about creating a total atmosphere and using the lyrics in service of the song, using your vocals and lyrics as a way of enhancing the mood or enhancing the feeling that you're trying to convey. And you can do that while still having, really incredible lyricism. And I think that where this happened the most with Aesop Rock, my favorite album he's involved with, is The Uncluded. That's one of my favorite albums, and that's Aesop Rock and Kimya Dawson working together. And those songs just have way more, melody, musicality, more complex structures, and he's still just, writing the same incredible bars on there, incredible storytelling, and getting even more, sort of personal, more intimate on that album than he usually does. If you listen to The Impossible Kid, there's one song that's about him, being at a psychologist's office and basically talking about his long-term unwillingness to open up. And I think a lot of why his lyrics are written so cryptically is because he doesn't want to reveal those feelings. And for me, as a lyricist myself, I relate to that a lot, because, the more private a sensation is for me, the more I want to veil it. The more I want that you, as a listener, have to fight to get to this. You have to put in as much work into understanding it as I did into conveying it, in order for me to feel that you sort of are allowed to, peel back this curtain and see this more fragile and intimate part of my mind. And if you listen to my music, the harshest music tends to be the most personal for me, whereas my more hype and immediate stuff is more about my, known public image and the way that I am in general. So yeah, I really love The Uncluded. His fucking verse for TV on 10 is my favorite rap verse ever. I did a whole video about it if you haven't seen that before. And there are songs on The Impossible Kids that I like. The song about his brothers I particularly love, because I also have two younger brothers. Relate heavy. I get the feels from that song. And the Shrink one too, just the fact that he's even addressing how distant he has been. But yeah, I just can't get into the beats on that album enough to want to listen to it all the time, whereas tracks like Zombie Cafe, which is an acoustic ballad essentially, but with a kick-ass Aesop Rock verse in the middle of it. There's also the fact that his voice is just so monotonous, he always sounds the same on every single track, so listening to a whole album of just him can be a lot, whereas if you mix him in with somebody else, I love him as a guest rapper. I love him on Ego Death by Bus Driver, and there's definitely a bunch of Aesop Rock bars that are ingrained into my mind. I can't even say he's not an influence, he is. I would say I like him as a rapper, but I just don't like his albums. I just don't like his projects. I think we just have too different of tastes and like what we want out of rap project. And clearly he's very beloved by a lot of people, you know, and especially like a certain sect of like more art rap lyrical driven people, especially that you know, late 90s early 2000s era of like hyper lyrical shit that was coming out. If you're into like Cunning Linguists and, you know, early Bus Driver and, well, I mean any Bus Driver, but like Bus Driver is somebody who, in spite of like Aesop Rock being like so high concept that a lot of the times I don't even understand what the hell he's saying, you know, as of his more recent albums, he's gotten more musical. Well, maybe not his latest project, which was like a random mishmash of crazy, insane shit, but like Thumbs or Perfect Hair, you know. So yeah, Aesop Rock, cool dude. Not necessarily for me, but I respect it. That's all I gotta say.